Hi, and welcome to Cooks and Cars Race Day Nation Edition. I'm Rob D'Amico alongside Michelle Rahal. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Always good to be back. Always good to talk about racing. And I think we have a pretty damn exciting show. So
There's
let's go
no
for it.
doubt about that. All right. First of all, we'll kick off with our sponsor, the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. Log on to biggreenegg.com and find an authorized dealer near you. You can shop online and have it delivered to your home for free. That's right. All you have to do is log on to biggreenegg.com. All right. Now let's get into racing. And we're talking the trucks were out at Kansas, and also the Cup guys were out there as well. So great stuff there. It was good racing. Listen, it's Kansas. It's a mile and a half. There's plenty of room to race there. So they got spread out, which is, kind of a good thing. But, you have a top line, a bottom line, it makes for good racing on a restart. When you're spread out over that mile and a half track and, the leaders got like 2 seconds on the guy in front of them, it's not such a race anymore, right? But it's NASCAR racing. It's the mile and a half track. But the Cup guys, what do you got?
I got one of those stories that
Uh-oh.
you'll love. Yeah. I, myself and a business partner, we flew to Kansas for the truck race to meet Carl Edwards. We were trying to do a little deal with Carl, and a hell of a nice guy. Just a fantastic
No doubt.
guy. Well, we were on his pit box and all that. Man, I was beat. I was really tired. Didn't feel like doing anything. So I go to the car, which is in the infield. I go to sleep with the AC on, right? Well, little did I know that the headlights were on as well. I get a bang on the window and I wake up from a dead sleep like, what the hell is going on? It's firemen, it's officials. My headlights are pointed right at the track, and the drivers are calling in complaining. And I'm going, oh my God. I went and apologized to NASCAR. I said I was just tired, fell asleep. I didn't realize it. I apologized to all the teams, everybody. It was one of those Ray Hall moments that you're familiar with.
Oh, there are many.
We won't go into them, but
Yeah.
that one was innocuous. It was glad nobody crashed because of me, but it was funny. It was truly hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Everybody on the truck on Carl Edwards' team were laughing at me when I walked back to the pit wall. It was like, thanks, Ray Hall.
That's pretty good.
There's the culprit.
We had some great racing in the trucks. Let's look at the results there with Zane Smith, Ty Majeski, Grant Enfinger, Chandler Smith, Kristen Eckes, John Hunter Nemechek, Matt Benedetto, Derek Kraus, Matt Crafton, and Ben Rhodes round out the top 10. So what does that look like in points right now? Well, Ben Rhodes is your points leader with multiple wins on the season, 319 points, ahead of John Hunter Nemechek, who's 20 points back, Zane Smith, 21 points. Chandler Smith, no relation, 29 points back. Ty Majeski, Stuart Friesen, Carson Hosevar, Kristen Eckes, Grant Enfinger, and Matt Crafton round out the top 10 there. So congratulations to those guys. Again, good racing, nothing really special. It's Kansas. We'll get into some of the ratings with the F1 and the last week's Dover Darlington race when we recap that here in a second. But what else you got?
Just a fun little fact that if you ever get on Jeopardy, you're going to love it.
I won't, but let's go.
It's not Benedetto. It's Di Benedetto. Well, Di Benedetto is also Tony Bennett, the singer's name.
Really?
Antonio Di Benedetto, and they shortened it to Bennett. So he shares the same name as the iconic Tony Bennett.
And I'm going to guess he does not have the same voice.
I'm betting he doesn't.
Yeah.
I had the luxury of actually being in the front row, meeting Tony Bennett a number of times with a crazy ex-girlfriend and who would not leave him alone. And he was just the nicest guy on earth. And he's also a painter. He does beautiful work.
Were you also in that audience asleep with the headlights on?
I should have been. No, he delivered a brilliant performance. It
Oh,
was really,
always does. I mean, and now the poor guy's in bad
I know,
shape, but
I know.
yeah, wish him the best. And but
The funny
these,
thing is he can still sing,
yeah,
and it's an odd thing with Alzheimer's. Glenn Campbell, same thing. It seems like Alzheimer's patients are capable of music and remembering the music, but not who their children are. It's just the strangest thing. It must come from a different part of the brain, but Bennett is going through the same thing. He can
yeah,
remember the music, he can see the music, he can sing the music. Glenn Campbell, until it finally killed him, he was at that level. He very seldom forgot the words to his songs and things like that.
yep,
It's an insidious disease. It
yeah,
really is.
man.
I think they're coming close to being able to pinpoint, how to minimize its effects or eliminate them. I hope
Yeah,
they do.
my grandmother had it, and it was rough.
Yeah,
It's
it
hard on
is.
the family.
It's terrible.
All right, we'll talk about the Cup race, and that one we had a pretty good finish there because Kurt Busch was racing hard Kyle Larson, and Kyle got into the wall not by Kurt's doing, just by great racing, and both guys trying to overdo it, and Kurt came out on top of that one. Kyle Larson was second, Kyle Busch was third, Denny Hamlin fourth. Christopher Bell was fifth, Martin Truex Jr. A lot of Toyotas up in that front there. Ross Chastain was seventh. Ricky Stinkhouse, as you see, I wrote in there. Stinkhouse. I love that name, man. He'll never live that one down. Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace rounding out your top 10 as the results. So what does it look like with points right now? Chase Elliott, still your points leader, 475. Ryan Blaney back 52. Kyle Busch moves up to third. William Byron moves down to fourth. Ross Chastain, fifth in points, man. Doing an incredible job right now. Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, who we'll get into here in a second, because this is a guy last week at Darlington. We mentioned how great Kyle and Kurt were racing at Kansas. Well, Joey and William Byron, not so much. We'll get into that here in a second. But Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell round out your top 10 in points right now. So let's go back. This week we had Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson racing hard side by side, trying to side draft everything, getting up close to each other. And that's when he tried to get up. He was, he's leaning into him, not touching him, just not, squeezing the room that he had at the top, because Kyle likes that top lane. So he was trying to squeeze that lane as small as possible. And it worked, because he was trying to squeeze up and it sucked him right into the wall. And he still hit the wall twice during the day and still finished second. Great driver, Kyle Larson, but great racing between the two. Kurt's always one of those guys. I remember going back when he raced, I think it was Darlington again. Well, I'm talking Kansas right now, but Darlington, we'll get into in a second, but Darlington with Kurt Busch and what was his name? Dang, it's going to come to me here in a second. That rode the Tide car, Ricky Craven. And they had that great battle. And crashed after the start-finish line, which was really
Craven
cool
was
to
a hell
watch.
of a driver. He really
Yeah,
was.
man, it was fun. All right, so now we go back to Darlington and we talk about Joey Logano and William Byron getting into it, and Joey just punting William Byron, who was leading. And listen, he was getting caught, but Joey had a hard time getting around him and decided, hey, it's time for me to punt him in the last corner on the last lap and put him in the wall. And he actually finished, I think, like 8th or something like that. But Joey went on to win the race.
Yeah.
So when is it okay to do that to somebody for a win? Or is it? Is there no gentleman rule like in sports cars?
But I don't think it's, I think that's far too egregious. It's just too aggressive. And, and it's not escaping the attention of world-class drivers all around the world. Jenson Button, world champion with Braun GP, he came out, they watched these races, and he said, I saw it happen. He said, I don't see how you can call that racing when you're stuffing somebody into the wall on purpose. So, there's a big there's a big split between what's acceptable and what's not. And I personally, if I've punted people before in, full bodied cars, but it was only because they punted me first. So
Well, that's what
first turn
Joey's
road
saying.
Atlanta, I put them off and into the tires. I mean, but it was, in retrospect, you've got to stop and consider you could kill somebody.
Yeah.
You actually could really kill somebody. So, you got to be judicious with the way you do these things. You literally, in the early formula cars, if you were really good, you could get right up behind somebody and just barely touch the gearbox in a corner, just barely,
Yeah.
and not really damage your car, and you could send them flying. Well, they caught on to that. That's why you see such restriction in open wheel now in the formula cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you take that back where somebody can get hurt when retaliating. And Joey said, hey, listen, on one of the restarts, he squeezed me, got into me a little bit. And, there was a little bit. Yeah, sure. Could you say, I'm going to retaliate and race him hard, and that's how I'm going to race him? That's okay. But then you go, it was a few years back at Atlanta when Carl Edwards, the guy you were just mentioning earlier, had taken Brad Keselowski, turned him around. And that's when they had that wing on there, and that wing got turned around and basically lifted him off the ground and set him down on his roof. And it was basically to retaliate against something. But I thought that one was a little rough because, he sent the guy flipping into the air. In a very dangerous situation. Luckily, everything was okay.
These guys lose their temper, and that's about the worst thing you can do. Yes, there's emotion in a race car. It is not banal. It's not benign. You're focused. Yes, you're dead focused. I mean, mouth hanging open. You're just focused.
Right.
Totally. But when you bring emotion into it, that is when you make mistakes.
Yeah.
When you bring too much emotion to to what you're trying to accomplish, which is get ahead of the guy in front of you, you can often let that emotion creep over and you make mistakes. You crash people. We've seen that in Formula One at Silverstone with Verstappen and Hamilton. And it just, if I had to do it over again, I'd take the emotion out of it. And I'm an emotional person,
That's very hard to do. I mean, a lot of guys can't do that.
I know it.
And that's where the mistakes are made. Yeah.
But you notice Prost, Senna, those guys, I mean, they knew how to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
And
I will say this. If Joey Logano was aggressive and got underneath him and used that, 8 tires are better than 4 tires and kind of moved them up a little bit, that's okay. That's hard racing, right? Yeah. But to literally punt the dude goes and up in the wall, you got a problem there, right? So that's where people draw the line. But on the other hand, what Joey's saying, he's like, listen, it is so hard to win in this series right now. Any opportunity I can get, I'm going to take. And he did that. So, I mean, that's the mentality of a Tony Stewart. Back in the day, Tony would have punted his grandmother. Remember one of his favorite quotes, punt my grandmother to go, win a race.
And they will. Dale Earnhardt was the same way. And, you can just name them off. But, the other side of that coin is, we're at I think, fulcrum point of where auto racing is going and how these celebrities, which they are, I mean, personalities are driving the sport. At what point do they say, does NASCAR say, okay, enough's enough. We're going to get a little bit more restrictive on what you're doing here because you're endangering other people. And that is, just a very, very tough, aggressive way of doing it. And you've gone too far. Yeah. I mean, I think perhaps F1's gone too far the other way. He had his wheel just up next to the other guy.
Yeah, it does come off like, hey, ladies, back down.
Shut up. Yeah,
can you say that?
Racing, man. They're racing. They're racing hard,
Yeah, I think Juan, if you missed one of our other interviews, we interviewed Juan Pablo Montoya, and he talked about that exact same thing. Is like, listen, stop whining, race. We just stop whining and race. I mean, some of these guys, if you listen to the in-car in F1, oh my gosh, they sound like a bunch of spoiled brats in the car.
And
It's
a
got to
lot of them
stop.
are,
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're
It's
right.
like Juan said, we're race car drivers. We whine. It's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. All right. Michelle, appreciate you coming on the show. That wraps up our Cup and NASCAR news and rumors. But and I will say this real quick before we go, we did see some tire issues again. I think it was Eric Jones had the wheel that they had to literally cut the rim off the car to get the hub, the little lug off the car.
Didn't they have the same, a similar problem with Bubba Wallace, or was that just? It seemed to me that was an ongoing thing with his pit crew because every time the guy came in, it seemed like there was something different.
Yeah.
That they didn't have it together. That's the
Well,
way
they also
looked to
had
me.
that pit penalty, or pit road penalty when they let the tire out of their pit box and went bouncing down the pit road. But
Well,
just some
no.
tire
In any
issues.
case, congratulations to Michael Jordan, who
Yeah,
owns the team for the win with Bush, and 2 time he's a 2-time winner now as an owner. I mean, that's a good step forward. Uh,
absolutely.
I think he's done the right thing, and he knows how to manage things and manage money. Obviously, private guy, but congratulations to Michael Jordan, and congratulations to Bush for the win. Sorry for what happened to Bubba Wallace, but I think that if they go back and do a debrief on that race and those pit stops, somebody's going to lose their position, or they're going to shuffle people around,
Yeah,
or it's going to be, they're going to send them to SEAL Team 6 BUDS training or something out in Coronado, California, to
yeah.
get their heads together.
Yeah, I will say that you look at the situation over there, and that's the exact reason they brought Kurt Busch over there, is to see what we need to do to these cars. The guy's raced everything. He's been in good cars. He's been in bad cars.
Right.
He's going to be able to tell these guys, hey, this is the direction we need to go. This is what's going to work. And I think that's paying off now. Because listen, Bubba Wallace doesn't have the experience. Do I think he's at the level of Kurt Busch? No, he's not close yet even. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to get to that level. And bringing Kurt over there is going to help them get there a lot quicker.
Which is
and you're starting to see it pay off.
It's exactly the same for Alonso, and being able to be somebody that can actually literally call his own race from the car.
Yeah.
You need that experience. You need that setup experience. You need to be able to be aggressive on a start and have planned it out. And Alonso's proven that. Now you've got Kurt Busch, and he's bringing just untold value to that team with his experience. He knows what's going wrong. He knows what to tell them to do. He knows who's doing what. That's what they need. And if Bubba will follow along in those footsteps and listen to the advice being given, which is hard to do for racing drivers, but if he does, he'll excel.
All right, don't forget you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Please do that, and make sure you can visit us online at racedaynation.com. You can also check out our other site, CooksandCars.com, all presented by the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. You can shop online, have a free home delivery, and all you have to do is go to biggreenegg.com. For Michelle Rahal, where can they find you online, Michelle?
They can find me on Facebook at Michelle Rahal, MICHELE RAHAL. Not a hell of a lot of us on Facebook. And you can find me on Instagram at Michelle Rahal, MICHELERAHAL, and the number 9, the dreaded number 9.
There it is.
Oh, no, I'm going to get to the bottom of that crap one way or the other.
You can also follow me at Rob D'Amico, ROBDAMICO. And again, for Michelle Rahal, I'm Rob D'Amico. Don't forget to check out some of our other videos and subscribe. All right, we'll see you next time.